What were your favorite moments? For me, it was that death penalty, no funding for LGBTQ. And you know what he said, which was fantastic? He says, if you're teaching these things in school, federal funding stops.
Yep.
Federal funding stops. I don't know if you have that clip or not.
I'll find that.
And then he says something so powerful that every parent relates to. You know what it was? Kids are perfect just the way that God created them.
Yes, he did. I remember.
What
that was a great one.
beautiful thing to say. You know who relates to that? What percentage of parents you think relate to that? What percentage of parents sit there and say...
vast majority.
100%. The number is a close to 100%, 95%. The 5% are the ones that bailed on their kids, who don't care about it. But vast majority are saying, that's exactly right. That's not a Democratic or Republican or an independent position. That's an evergreen position. But there was one moment, which was kind of weird, Rob. Can you pull up the clip that Amy Coney Barrett, that David Harris Jr. posted? I want to know, Rob, what do you think about this? Tom, I want to get your thoughts as well. First, go back, Rob, and let's read what he put in the captions, if you don't mind. Do you have it on what he says? It's
who was the commentator?
Supporting now, it's certainly not America. David Harris also said the fact that no wonder she always votes against him. Okay, look at the way Amy Coney Barrett looks at the president on Tuesday night. Go for it.
Ugh.
Whoa.
She hates
Go back to it again, Rob. Go back to it again. Look at this. If you read body language, look at that. He's complimentary, Kavanaugh, but look at her. Go to it one more time, Rob, please. And pause right there. Look at that smirk.
That's disgust.
That's disgust.
Why do you think, Tom?
Who put her on the bench?
Didn't he appoint her? Yeah.
He what?
Who put her on the bench?
He did.
I know, but why? What happened? Do you guys know anything about what happened there?
Are there actual stories, or are we just speculating?
I have some thoughts.
Go for it.
So remember, what happened to this country during the Kavanaugh confirmation here is completely ridiculous, right? They're dragging them under the mud. But remember that there were all these leftist protesters that were being activated that were at Kavanaugh's home. This is what I believe. Because Amy Coney Barrett consistently votes against, the conservatives, Trump's agenda, et cetera. I think that she's being threatened privately. I think that a lot of very bad people know where she lives, and I think that she lives under the constant fear of that. That's what I truly believe, because there's nothing in me that thinks that she is in any way not being pressured by some outside forces.
You think she's being strong-armed?
I do. I absolutely believe this.
By
100%. Who knows? I mean, look, we talk all the time. People like us talk all the time about globalists, about the agenda, about et cetera. I go to D.C. regularly, right? I've been there more in the past 6 weeks than I've been, I would say, like in the past 5 years. And if you think that that's not a swamp, if you think that there's so many people in DC at every level that are not being influenced and persuaded and blackmailed and pressured by people, it's 100%. I mean, you feel it the second you get off the airplane at Reagan, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that she's actually being very much influenced, very much strong-armed by some people behind the scenes, because even constitutionally and legally, her rulings make no sense.
Well, let me read you what I have here. Since 2020, October, when she was sworn in, here's the instances where she is diverged from Trump's preferences. Trump's election challenge, 2020-2021, which, in that case, she didn't challenge the Pennsylvania mail-in ballots and election laws. Okay, so that's one. 2, Trump's administration immigration policies. She joined her colleagues in upholding certain legal challenges against Trump's era immigration policies as those related to asylum seekers and public change rule, okay? And the third one is case involving Trump's financial records. She participated in decisions relating to Trump's tax returns where the court upheld subpoenas for his documents, which was not in his favor. So I don't know. And there's other 4 times that she was for him. Foreign aid funding dispute, March 2025. That's now. New York sentencing appeal, January 2025. That's now. Colorado ballot eligibility case, if you guys remember, March 2024. She was not for that. Immunity ruling, June 2024. I don't know. But that look to me was a strange look. And maybe we're reading into it. Maybe there's nothing there, but it seemed kind of weird on how she looked at the president.
I have a different perspective on this, because anyone who thinks that just there's 6 conservatives and there's 3 liberals on the Supreme Court, and the whole narrative is that there's a ideological monolith, that the conservatives are always going to vote with the conservatives and the liberals are always going to vote with the liberals, and that's the way it is. And if that is the case, that it's always going to be 6-3, and that's what it is. And the Democrats were going to pack the court. That was the whole conversation that was happening in 2020. But I got a little bit of different perspective, because who are the three liberals? Who are they?
Ketanji Jackson.
Yeah, that's one.
Sotomayor.
Sotomayor. And Elena Kagan.
Elena Kagan, yeah.
And those are three women. Who are the conservatives? Clarence Thomas, Chief Justice Roberts, right? Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and now Amy Coney Barrett. So she's the one female conservative. So who do you think she has more in common with? The ideological, political conservatives or the ladies? So she's the most swayable because, you know, when you go to the bathroom, you're with the ladies. I assume that the men aren't allowed to go to the women's bathroom. When you have lunch, you know, maybe this is the craziest thing, which I found out recently, and I've known this, but women, they sync their periods. I don't even know if these ladies still get their periods. Probably not. But that whole thing, yeah, Rob's like,
here we go.
But the point is this. She is way more willing to go over to the left side because her girls are hanging out there. That's my perspective. Why else would she look at Trump with such disdain?
Our girls
Why
are
else?
hanging out there?
That's where her girls are hanging.
I don't know.
So you don't know anything.
So you're
because
saying
you've given nothing.
these guys have Supreme Court decisions that they make in the bathroom stall while they're sitting there talking to each other. That's what you're saying. Hey, Amy,
100%.
what do you think about the ruling? That's what you're saying. That's the visual?
That's what I'm trying to say.
All right, Tom.
Go ahead.
Do you
About
Visualize
rolling
that.
past me a tampon.
do you agree with
girl.
this guy here?
No, I don't.
Do you think there's anything there, though? Or do you think this is one of your famous nothing burgers? What do you think?
No. There is something there. There was something on her mind.
Yeah.
You know, you could see the very rigid body language and you could see the facial expression. There was something there. And that something is very real. But it's interesting in this picture. Do you know who she is closest ideologically to?
Who?
The man directly in front of her and the man directly on her left.
Roberts and Clarence Thomas.
No,
the guy
she's
on
over
top
there.
left.
Clarence Thomas and Gorsuch.
Oh,
Right.
Gorsuch.
That's where, if you look at her history of her appellate writings and the things that she's done, that's where she's closest ideologically. So I don't know about this, what Adam just said, that she's going to align with the women. It's very interesting that Ketanji Jackson hasn't really aligned with anybody. And as a matter of fact, her and Elena Kagan are not exactly close. You can read about all this stuff. All this stuff is available out there. But when it comes down to you want to look at what they write and what they support, right? And what they write in a dissenting view. So I think there is something very real with Trump, but I look at her voting record. I just go back and look at the voting record. And I look at it before she was on the court, and I look at it since she was on the court. And until I see her suddenly broke, as we say in the military, broken arrow, and she flies off, and I see 3 rulings in a row that are like, whoa, that's really weird. Because remember what happened with David Souter? They told Bush Sr., it's a slam dunk. He's going to look like this, but he's going to be with you. And guess what? Bush Sr. put a liberal on the court by accident, listening to it. You can go back and look at what happened with Neil Souter. All of a sudden, they start looking at his opinions and going, Bush Sr., you put this guy on the court? And he was completely broken arrow off left.
Wow. So, Adam, are you trying to show something
Tom,
here?
you are half right, because she does align very closely to Neil Gorsuch, but she ain't nowhere near silent Judge Clarence Thomas. He is literally the most conservative guy on the bench next to Samuel Alito, where she is very center right. So if she did align with Clarence Thomas, she'd be all the way to the right.
Look
so
how
you look
far
at this.
left Sotomayor is.
But
Exactly.
look,
Kagan,
ignore the
Jackson,
Alito line.
Thomas.
I'm not going to ignore the Alito line because it's right there.
Oh, please, stop playing. If you take a look there, Alito's not
That
on
was
the
like
court.
Tom's version of like a sassy black girl. Stop playing with me, boy.
No, I think you're impersonating that yourself. But you take a look at where Gorsuch is, and then you look at what's remaining over there on the right, and you look at where everything else is.
Yeah, Tom, I don't know what you're trying to do. You got caught with your pants down, buddy. She's not as conservative as Clarence Thomas.
His pants are
He's
off, buddy.
all the way to the right. Take your pants off. She's just somewhere center right. That's all it is.
All right. So one point about the Supreme Court that I want to make, you said that they were having the conversation in 2020 about packing the court, et cetera, et cetera. Just because that conversation is over does not mean that they are not still trying to actively do that. When Democrats start having conversations about things, they dump millions of dollars into multiple nonprofits and have people that are working on this and probably getting paid by this at this very moment. So you better believe that in any Democrat presidency in the future, it will happen. And Democrats will run on this, right?
Well, about packing the court.
Let me tell you guys one thing that you kind of got to look at what happens. I just searched right now who are the oldest members of the Supreme Court Justice. Clarence Thomas, 1948. Makes him how old?
77.
Okay. So, depending on how things look, if I'm Trump, I'm probably speaking to him to replacing him in 2028.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important.
Absolutely.
And replacing him with you got some options. I don't know who you bring, Ted Cruz or whoever you want to bring, some of the guys that he brings in that he can suggest. But I think that part, he's got to be strategic on where he's at. And hopefully they'd be willing to work with him. Because Sotomayor's 70. She can still go 8 more years. There's definitely
health-wise, she's far older than 70. And the Dems had actually approached her about resigning.
You know what's crazy about DC? And I was having this conversation with one of the producers early before I came on set. When you spend a lot of time there, you realize how old people are. And I mean, these people are old, man. They look old, they move old, and when you think about why we have gotten to the place where we have gotten in this country to where we needed Trump to really come in like a sledgehammer, it's because so many people are so old and out of such. It really is this bubble of just antiquated ideas, antiquated people, and I just
Rob, come on, dude. You're saying that Joe Biden is old?
No.
You're
Chuck
saying that
Grassley?
92-year-old Chuck Grassley?
Yeah.
You're saying that Mitch
McConnell, who's always having a fall.
You're saying that Nancy
these people are
Pelosi
so old.
is old? Come on,
So
man.
it's a point if we're gonna
They're in
talk
their
about
prime, baby.
if we're gonna talk about the Supreme Court, it is a good point that Trump should replace one or two of these people.
think, and I would get some guys that their age starts with the number 4.
Yep.
That's what I'd be looking for. I'd be looking for some guys early 5.
That's a radical idea,
4.
Pat.
No, I'll take it. I'd like to see.
No, I mean it's cool, but it's just radical to think of somebody that young on the Supreme Court.
Oh no, I'm good with mid-40s.
Who's the
Let's get
youngest
somebody-
Supreme Court?
53,
justices?
52?
No, in general, ever put on the
ever?
on the,
It has to be
Oh, in the
50s.
last 50 years, let's say.
The youngest has
Rob,
to
can
be.
you find that?
I would say 51 years old.
You just throwing a number out there? What do you
Well,
think?
because I think the oldest
I
here
bet
is
it's
50.
never been. I bet it's never been younger.
32 years
than 55.
old. 32 years old.
When?
Just if Joseph Story in 1811 was 32
Well,
years
people
old.
live to 40 at that point. I'm saying the last 50 years.
52 years old. Let me Coney Barrett. So, couple things. For those of you that are watching the podcast now, if you go download Connect, the app, and you join PBD Podcast Circles, if you join the circle, what you get a chance to do, it's $50 a month. But everybody throughout the month gets to communicate together. Here's what we're going to be doing. All the notes that we look at, the way we write out the news and our research team, is all in there. So if you go right now and join the circle, you're going to see all these notes in there. On top of that, you guys get to communicate with each other all day long, throughout the day, throughout the month. When stories happen, everybody posts there. We get to ask you what are some issues you want us to talk about on the podcast. And last but not least, after the podcast, we do a behind the scenes, what our takeaway was. We'll do it sometimes with some interviews, other things that we're doing. But go download the app, Manek, Rob, if you can put up the QR code up there. If you can download the app and get that QR code, go to Manek, download the app, go to Circles PBD Podcast, join the circle, see the notes, and then we'll be able to interact throughout the month. We're excited about it. There's going to be a lot of unique surprises with Circle. Stay tuned. Big news for all of us. After a year and a half of trying to get permits of this city for the Cigar Lounge, after creating the sprinklers that they wanted in the ceiling for the Cigar Lounge, after getting the tobacco license, after getting the alcohol license, after getting the 2-bar set up, after getting all of it permitted into a club, comedy club, that's being launched here soon. And so for those of you that are wanting to be members of the Cigar Lounge, the boardroom, there's already 61 members, okay? It's only 80 of them that we're talking about at the phase 1 that we're going through. And there's going to be an interesting guest showing up here soon to the Cigar Lounge, possibly for the grand opening. I can't tell you who that is, but there's a lot of speculation what that could be. You can figure it out, but it's only for those who are members of the club. So if you want to submit an application to be considered, I look at every single application that comes into my hand. Rob, if we can put the website to go to for it. What is the website for the Cigar Lounge, by the way? Do you know what it's called?
BoardroomCigarLounge.com.
BoardroomCigarLounge.com. BoardroomCigarLounge.com. Rob, if you can put the link in chat as well, and the comment section and description. Go to it, submit your applications. And for those of you guys that smoke cigars that maybe you want to come ready for it, once you are a member, 100 of these are available for you to purchase. This is Valuetainment cigar accessories. Rob, if you can go to this so they can see it as well. In this, when you open it up, you have the ashtray, the Valuetainment ashtray. You have the Valuetainment lighter, and you have the Valuetainment cutter, okay? $74.95. Go to the website, vtmerch.com, and we are looking forward to seeing you come there with your lighter and with your, cutter. So again, vtmerch.com to get that. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.